Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs Podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenay.
It's the Maryland Crabs, and we're on the phone today with Jordan Foley, brought to us by a mutual friend, Gene Deems, who is big in the nonprofit industry, I guess, in Maryland. And he turned me on to Jordan because he was impressed with his organization, which is Chow. And what Chow does, it's the only nonprofit in the United States that helps veterans start careers in the culinary arts through food truck training. So, Jordan, thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much, Tim. Appreciate it. And thanks to Gene for connecting us.
Yeah, Gene's the best. If anyone doesn't know him, he's Mr. Nonprofit. Tell us a little bit about the program. You are active military yourself, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm active duty Navy, graduated Naval Academy 2012, been a commissioned officer ever since, submarine officer, and now I'm a Navy JAG. So I'm finishing up my law degree, going to continue to serve, hopefully for a full career in the Navy JAG Corps.
Yeah, so you're doing all these things and you're running a nonprofit.
You know, it's one of those things too, people say, like, how do you have the time? It's like, I got two little girls at home too. And it's one of those things where, I just don't have any hobbies anymore. No, it's not even that. It's I'm incredibly passionate about helping veterans in the military community. The military's given me so many opportunities, things that growing up in northern Pittsburgh that I would have never have imagined. And I've also seen the hardships that are placed on families and transitioning veterans. And I want to be a piece of the puzzle that helps American veterans transition and helps military families succeed. And I thought about the way of doing that is combining my love for that community and my love of cooking. And Chow was then, after, many years of thinking about how I wanted to start a nonprofit and what I wanted to do, Chow was born in January of 2020. And then a little bit of an auspicious timing because, as soon as March comes around, we are fully operable in a pandemic, but we've learned to adapt, in many ways, which, it's nice having not a lot of overhead. I know not a lot of companies have that luxury, but, we've learned to really just adapt to this environment right off the bat.
When you talk about the overhead, and I know a lot of restaurateurs, it's a small town, and I know probably a handful of people who own food trucks, and I know there's a lot of people who want to start food trucks. They're just like, I'd love to do that, and not realizing what an incredible endeavor that is. It's difficult in a lot of ways. I didn't know that until I have friends who have the food trucks. And, you don't have the overhead, true, but, you don't have a lot of the amenities that go along with a restaurant, including that built-in base. You have to kind of find them. But there's been a huge food truck kind of revolution over the last probably 10 years that I guess started in Portland, Oregon, and kind of moved this way. So why food trucks rather than like a restaurant?
Yeah, it's a good question, Tim. I mean, what we are is, I think people like to fixate on food trucks with what we talk about in our business model with Chow. We're actually a nonprofit training company in a way. We are training veterans in the culinary arts, and we decided that food trucks are the most effective model for that. Because of that mobility, but because also it incorporates everything. When you're a food truck owner, you're not just the executive chef. You're not just the manager. You are the marketing team. You are doing everything. You are driving the truck. You're the supply chain. You're doing so much. Where we thought, if we can get our system down, so our supply chain that we're developing is actually not only just farm to table, it's actually uniquely sourced through veteran-owned businesses as well. So by developing rotating menus, getting ghost kitchen space, which is required for food trucks and prep and things like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that's kind of just the start of it, all the things that go into it. But really what we saw is the food truck model being the ultimate mobile training unit for veterans because we could train more veterans that way. It gives them a broad marketing and business experience as well. And also, like you said, that culture is booming. It's a $1.2 billion industry. That's food trucks across America. And we think, like you said, the startup costs, there's a lot that goes into it. The regulatory environment is actually incredibly complex. Even from county to county, things can sometimes change, let alone crossing the DC border from Maryland. But what we provide is that regulatory experience. We provide that supply chain experience, and we provide the culinary experience for veterans and military spouses who are thinking, maybe this is something I want to do. But given some of the limited timelines from leaving the military, from active service to civilian, or just the incredible startup costs. Some veterans are already locked out of starting a food truck, whether it's monetarily or time, or just that risk is too much for them to really bear as a first career leaving the military. So what we're doing is we're saying like, hey, you can step into our program any day, and we're going to take you through and teach you everything it is to be a successful food truck owner, with the goal of you becoming an entrepreneur in the culinary industry afterwards, whether that's a brick and mortar, starting your own truck, or going off to be a franchisee somewhere. We're giving you that valuable experience in our training system, which takes the form of a truck. And that's really why our model is so unique, is there's no other nonprofit that does exactly that in the United States.
And frankly, they're used to the boot camp concept, really, right? I mean, you have a limited amount of time. You have to take a lot of information in a short period, and they've all done that, right?
Exactly. And it's even more than that. We have something called PQS in the Navy, just a qualification system. It's a qualification card. There's things like knowledge factors that you get certified people to sign off on. If I can come explain to you, Tim, about something about the ship, you can sign off and say, good, you're good to go on this. And then I got to perform under instructs under you. You got to watch me stand the watch station. And that, we're all accustomed to that in one way or another across the services. And that's exactly how our training card works too. It is actually a literal card that resembles the way the Navy and other services train. So you have to hit certain knowledge factors and certain under instructs and certain food safety qualifications to even get into the truck as far as the training goes. So we're trying to mimic it off of that. And like you said, like taking a lot of knowledge, putting it out there, performing, and then being qualified and being put out there. And that's really the why veterans, I think, are going to be so successful in this system, is because it's developed by active duty and veterans in a way too. And I think by showing them, that they can not only learn exactly how the ins and outs of an aircraft carrier work, but they can learn how to operate their own food truck. I think that's pretty empowering because, believe it or not, I've had a lot of school under my belt. I've gone to, Naval Academy, MIT, now at Georgetown Law, and I'm telling you, food trucks are hard. Don't just think that, you can have a background in education and be a smart person and just think you're going to step into the culinary industry and crush it, because you need help and you need experience. And that's what we're trying to provide too, is that experience and that safety net.
Is it a hard landing for veterans who are coming out of the service to go to the private sector? I mean, because they're used to structure, they're used to a certain way of doing things. And, there's no standard, obviously, in the private sector. Do they struggle with that when they come out?
It seems so. Syracuse University has a great Veterans Research Institute, and they cite their surveys cite that 2 out of every 3 veterans will leave their first post-military job in the first year due to lack of job satisfaction or lack of mission, or just no chance for promotion. So, I mean, 2 out of every 3. That's incredibly
huge.
High moving. And then it gets even worse with like lasting employment 2-3 years down the road. So it's tough because you have a lot of headhunter agencies looking to place veterans somewhere. The nuclear Navy community, those sailors on submarines and aircraft carriers, they're scooped up a lot of times by the civilian reactors and things like that. And they sometimes find lasting employment there. But for people who want to make career changes, for people who want to be, an infantry officer and then go start a food truck, it's quite a jump. And that's really, there's really not a lot of things in place for that. But, lasting employment is difficult. And I think a lot of surveys and a lot of research has cited that.
I've seen a lot of, like you said, I've seen a lot of veterans come out and they start their own businesses, maybe because they don't like the way, the structure of the private sector. So they're going to form their own kind of microcosm. I know we have Veterans Compost, which is up in Glen Burnie. I think it's 3 guys who run a compost company. And I've seen this gentleman, he cleans tropical tanks. He's got a tank cleaning business, and I talked to him a little bit, and it's the same thing. It's just, I think they come out and they kind of want to make their own experience because they're not satisfied with what they find. This sounds like an extension of that.
Absolutely. I think that creativity in all of us, I think we have it. I mean, in the military, we're problem solvers. I think maybe people who aren't associated with the military might see us as maybe just taking marching orders and completing a mission. But people don't realize, unless you've been on a mission, unless you've been on, like, for example, a deployable submarine having to accomplish something vital to national security, there really isn't an A to B to accomplish that. It's a lot of problem solving, a lot of small problems, a lot of big problems. And we are all creative by the job design. It may not seem like that. It may not sound like that because we all have the same haircuts or we all wear the same thing. But in reality, some of the most creative minds in America are in that 1% of the population who serves. And when they get a chance to get out and they have a little bit of financial stability allowing them to take risks, you do see people like the composters in Glen Burnie. You see people, become successful entrepreneurs who were veterans because that training and discipline, just that translates to all success. But that creativity is actually inherent in the job too, enlisted and officers alike. And I think that's something we're really trying to flourish and, let flourish in our organization, because it's another reason why we don't have set menus. Well, first of all, we want to make sure our veterans are trained in all different types of culinary, techniques. But we also want to say, like, hey, when you've developed enough, when you've completed this qualification card for far enough, you want to develop a menu. What's your idea? Let's see how customers take it. And I think a lot of people are receptive to that idea too, because of that creative flexibility and cooking. And, that creativity is something I've seen, not only just veterans, but just in the population, with the prevalence of cooking shows and things like that. I think people are more attuned and want to learn how to cook and do creative things with food, even more so today than 5-10 years ago.
So you guys are a 501c3, registered 501c3, and it seems like you have a few elements to you. Like you have this training program, and you have some partners we'll talk about in a minute. You've been busy with this, but you also serve the homeless over in Montgomery County, Prince George's County? No, Silver Spring. So Montgomery County, yeah. Yeah,
we do. We do several different communities, actually. We work with several homeless shelters to serve the homeless community. And what we do there is we started to realize that during COVID, events were getting postponed and canceled where we would be able to sell to patrons. So in order to continue training, we needed to develop a controlled environment. So we use our kitchen in Cheverly. And we say, all right, we have 200 meals of South Carolina pulled pork sandwiches to get to Silver Spring in 2.5 hours. We'll have 3 veterans in the kitchen and we'll simulate a restaurant experience and we'll go. And we'll get those together and we'll deliver them. And there'll be a nice dinner for some people who really need it. But also those veterans are getting the training certifications and qualifications they need in our system, those hours in the kitchen, with sanitation techniques and assembly techniques and things like that. So that's really, we found that part of our mission to be incredibly fruitful because, one, it's training veterans, but also we all veterans and all military personnel still want to serve. So serving a community that's in need, it really just makes you feel good too inside. And what we found is corporations are willing to donate for these initiatives. So we'll ask them, say for $300, we're going to do 200 meals on this Saturday. Will you donate? And corporations are happy to give that money. So we've been continuing our training program like that. This December, this next couple of weeks here, we're actually going to be serving to a homeless community in Rockville 80 Christmas meals, holiday style meals.
That's awesome.
Besides, and then we're also doing cookies for some foster children up in Crownsville area. So, those things may seem like, wow, they're just doing good. But, the training behind it too, the cookies, it's a lesson in portioning, making sure every exact cookie is the same size, that a veteran will be learning that skill. The assembly of the larger meals, that's going to be cooking large birds, large turkeys, making mashed potatoes, cranberry pomegranate chutney. Those are advanced techniques. And behind all of that good comes another training mechanism for the veterans. So, when corporations donate, they not only give it to the homeless community, they give veterans some very needed, skills in the culinary arts.
That's kind of win-win. You're getting not only are they getting the training, but you're also kind of giving back to the community at the same time. Now, so can you walk me through from start to finish, what happens when someone enters the program? How does that work?
Yeah, we are, we've spent all of 2020 proving our concept in the sense of, hey, let's get our training materials together. Let's do this Cooking for the Homeless initiative, and let's see if veterans are truly interested and military spouses are interested. Overwhelming yes on interest. So now as we go into 21, we are raising money for that first truck. So we're no longer going to be leasing trucks or be beholden to other people's kitchen space. We're going to, buy this truck in 2021 here. And what we're planning on doing is creating a tiered training system. So we are developing a digital training platform where it's essentially an intro to cooking culinary arts program where you can complete all online at your own pace, submit photos and final products to us for feedback, and then completing a serve safe, which is a certification requirement, test, which is issued at most testing centers, like those Pearson test centers, typically like that, and completing that program all online. That's the first step. The second step is getting your hours in what we call that homeless initiative we were mentioning. That's called Kitchen with a Mission. So that's Chow's Kitchen with a Mission. Completing your hours in that format too. It's a little more of a controlled environment. You'll be completing that. And then once you pass that year, you are then in our truck, which will be operating, whether it's once, twice, 3 times a week. You'll be going to whatever communities, whatever events we have planned there, and you'll be learning initially just the ins and outs of the cooking on the truck and the supply chain that we have, but you will continue to move up, and we will bring you into, here's the marketing, here's how we source, here's how we set prices, here's how we advertise and things like that. And then eventually the whole idea is this process takes 1 maybe to 2 years, depending on availability for that person. You will pretty much have gone through everything you would need to know, like a fellowship, like a food truck MBA, pretty much is what our goal is. And that's how we're doing it, stepwise, at your own pace, because we all know that people don't have, an exact whole year to just dedicate to something. We want to make sure we're flexible, just like, our veterans, military families have been asked to be for their entire careers, be flexible. So are we.
Well, you mentioned the military families. So this is also open to military families as well, spouses?
Yes, Tim. Yeah, we made sure we want this to be open to military spouses for a lot of reasons. Reason is military spouses are some of the most underemployed demographic in America. The fact that a lot of moving, and it's just really tough to keep a job, and it's not really fair to them to really not have that second income, because so many families really need that in America. So our idea is that we can really help military spouses, especially ones who have an inclination to cook or want to be creative, to learn how to start a food truck, because that's something that can move with them too. As soon as we teach them how to research regulations within a state, get certified, source and supply and market and things like that. I mean, that's pretty much going to be their business. And as we talked about earlier, it's a $1.2 billion market. Food trucks can be incredibly lucrative. And whether it's a weekend warrior model where they're only doing events, or whether they're operating 4 or 5 days a week, it's up to them. But giving military spouses a chance to, embrace the same exact training program we have for veterans is something we, in January 2020, said this is what we're going to do. That's
awesome. But now you have some partners too. I'm looking at your website right now. Again, that's letschow.org. And you have a few partnerships, Fields for Valor Farms, Curbside Kitchen, EC Sprout, and also Anne Arundel Community College, which provides culinary training. You can apply for scholarships there as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our partners are great. They all reflect a different portion of our mission. Anne Arundel Community College is a great program. They offer a Ratcliffe Scholarship, which is through the Ratcliffe Foundation, and that's for entrepreneurial studies, and it can be used to any degree or any certificate program at Anne Arundel Community College. And for those listeners who don't know, Anne Arundel Community College Culinary Arts program is one of the best.
It's awesome.
It is so good. I'm enrolled in it right now, actually, and it's in a lot of ways I'm learning so much.
Well, you do that, and you're in law school, and you have 2 kids, and you're running a nonprofit.
Hey, you just find the hours in the day to do what you love, I guess.
I guess.
It's been good, because I did want to test this program out, and I wanted to make sure it was going to be great, and it exceeded all of my expectations. And it's something, we're encouraging our veterans in general who are interested in military spouses and enrolling, and that $12,000 scholarship will cover everything. And we're here to help with that application to get you on board. But we also offer our digital training for those who can't really get through the full process or be on such a strict schedule. But that's one partner, person. We're just so happy to have Anne Arundel Community College in the area, because it pushes our mission forward every day. And that's how Gene and I met. Was we won the Anne Arundel Community College Big Idea Competition, and we came in first place and got the community prize for best venture. And I think just being supported and hearing that you have a good idea that people want to support, it's a lot of confidence, and it provides a lot of momentum too. So can't say enough good things about the Riverhawks at AACC.
What are you studying up there? Is it kind of generalized, or do you kind of learn a little bit about everything?
Yeah, I'm trying to fill the gaps in my education, honestly. So I'm learning a lot about supply chain, event planning, things that deal with how to run a culinary business from a management side, but I'm also taking, all the intro to cooking and intro to baking, really honing those skills. I grew up cooking. I can make homemade linguine with my eyes closed because my grandma, and I did it forever. But, learning some more technical skills has been really helpful. And I'm also doing some entrepreneurial and business classes because, I've been in the military since I was 18. I've never run a business. I just had never had to take an accounting class. I've never had to take a marketing class. And this has all been really helpful to me because, whether I like it or not, I'm an entrepreneur now, and, I need to be better at it to make Chow grow. And that's, I think that's been really helpful for me as I've been filling gaps in my education. And, I mentioned a lot of the schools I've been affiliated with, and I don't think I've ever felt so individually cared for as I have at Anne Arundel Community College. They're just great.
I think that's one of the big challenges for entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs is you don't realize the back end work that goes into this. You think as far as I love cooking, I can make a good product, so I want to have a food truck. But there's a ton that goes into that too. I mean, everything from, like you said, the accounting, the back end work, the regulations, dealing with local governments for the health department, sourcing, all those things. And people don't think about those things when they go into business. And I think that's why a lot of businesses go under.
Absolutely. I think, and that's why a lot of banks want to see, experience, right? They don't want to just loan, someone money and for them to just say, hey, I'm just going to try to open this restaurant. I've never really done much, but I like to cook. I mean, banks don't give out loans that way. So, I mean, that's another reason, why we're developing this program is it will lead to hopefully more preferential loans, or maybe, some large franchise, applications will be, they won't be passed over because they say, oh, they've had 4 or 5 years of operating their own business. They know what's going on. And, I think that's why, the food truck is so great as a starting point because it is a microcosm of the entire industry. There's so much around it. And you get to move and you don't have to deal with that location, which location seems to be the main reason 60% of restaurants fail in their first year is that it's location. And, food trucks kind of skip around that little one there. I mean, you still got to be good at finding places to go serve and marketing and all that. But I think that's generally why we've decided that the food truck is the best training tool for veterans interested in the culinary industry. It's a good stepping stone, and it's a confidence builder, we think. And not to say that food trucks are any easier to operate than restaurants. It's just that we're able to control this training environment in a way that we see fit, and we hope it leads to brick and mortar restaurants. We hope someday that we can say we had a Chow veteran alum who is a James Beard Award-winning chef because that Chow gave them a chance, and they weren't really going to pursue a culinary arts or anything in the culinary industry because of the risk. But they found that Chow had the support structure, and they went forward and they pursued their goal, and they were recognized. And I'm telling you, I'm hoping that happens soon. But if we continue on this trend, I'm going to tell you, we're going to have, some people who can really be afforded some great opportunities, who wouldn't have otherwise had them. So that's really what keeps me going. And you kind of ask the time commitment and things like that. It's like just that thought kind of gets me and drives me every day to want to do this even more.
Well, I think you said that it may not be any easier to own a food truck than a brick and mortar, but I don't know sometimes, especially in this economy, I've been told that if you don't own your restaurant, own the building, then your margins aren't such that you can really thrive or expand. So you have to own your own building. And if you do, especially in this environment right now, you got to come up with the property taxes, even if your place is closed for months. Whereas, to get into a food truck, you're talking what, $30,000-$40,000, in some cases to purchase and fit a truck.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, very few restaurants actually full on own the business. I mean, in fact, a lot of them are renting, and that's the thing too, is that margin you mentioned so small. It's so tight. But the food trucks, for $30,000 to $40,000, you can get in a used 2002 big diesel truck, with maybe 200,000 miles on it. You can get going at that. If you want to buy a brand spanking new one, customized to everything you want, from the flat top griddle to the cotton candy maker you insist on having, that's like $100,000. At that point, you're getting way up there. But you can be frugal with the truck. There's just fuel costs that, you got to consider. And there's a lot of things that go into the propane, the gas, the mileage, and a lot of things. And also the regulations, understanding where you can operate, understanding the food safety laws and things like that. There's just a lot of little things that go around it where, I don't necessarily believe, I wouldn't say it's, any easier in some ways, but I think like I was saying before, we like the idea of flexibility, being able to control the environment. And at some point too, the mobility and just the culture around food trucks is really budding. So I think we like the way that trend is going, and I think it's, honestly, it's going to be here to stay even after COVID, we believe. Homeowners associations are inviting trucks now more often to come serve for their residents. And we see that, as something that won't necessarily go away as we start loosening restrictions either.
So you're Yuns. You come from north of Pittsburgh, right? Or northern Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, and you're, this is your adopted hometown now, I guess, as a Navy grad, and Maryland's great for this because we're geographically small. I think the laws that they've passed in the last couple of years allow reciprocity with food trucks between counties. So it used to be a huge headache for food trucks to go county to county, which in a state this small is a hassle because, you can cross 3 counties in a half hour, really. So, you want to be open to that. Do you see this as something scalable that you can expand upon and move to other states? Maybe a blueprint that other veterans organizations can start in other places?
We do. That is the goal, is to become national. And, the reason I wanted to start a nonprofit 8 years ago is because we moved 5 times in 7 years. And it was just so hard to engage in the community every single time. And I wanted something that could move with me where I could keep serving the community. So I thought, I wanted to start a nonprofit. And that's kind of how Chow was born too, is it's going to continue to move with me. It's going to continue to be, this concept where it can be done. A lot of it can be done remotely. But right now, we are incorporated in Maryland and our headquarters is here for the foreseeable future. But the idea that we could put this in Annapolis, Maryland, or Minneapolis, in Minnesota or Denver, Colorado, I think it's all the same as that what we're hoping to do almost. And I think in the future, years down the road, we would love to have our own kitchen space, maybe here in Annapolis, and we would love to have several trucks where we could actually train veterans, bring them here for a couple of weeks, just like McDonald's does with Hamburger University, get them through the whole process, and then slide them to where they're. And then ship them a truck from a preferred builder that we trust, and they're operating our system from there. And it wouldn't be as much as a franchise agreement as it would be more like a licensing agreement, but that's something we see being absolutely scalable nationally, and that's where we're looking to go. Is we want this to be not just geographically located here, but we want opportunities for veterans nationwide.
So where does your love for food come from? You said pasta, and it sounds like you're Italian, maybe.
Oh yeah, 100% Italian. Don't let the last name fully.
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's we're mostly Italian here, but I think growing up, my grandma, everything from scratch. I didn't see box pasta until I was 18 years old, and then that's another thing too. Is I would come home and me and my brother were latchkey kids. Parents both worked, and I would cook him a meal before we go to football practice because I was a little older. And, I just food started to become, one of those things where you just did it, you cooked, and then it was a way to have a creative outlet throughout the day to kind of change a recipe or do something and learn about what that did. And that kind of sparked, my love and joys of cooking, along with the fact that I just have an interest in science. I was a submariner. I did a lot of chemistry and science classes, and the chemistry of cooking is incredibly interesting too. Yeah. So all that comes, from a lot of different walks of life, for me, different areas. But I think it all starts with my grandmother and the way she would cook, and just my inability to ever replicate a single flavor that she was able to put out. But my pursuit of it too is kind of what keeps me going as well. So
as a Pittsburgh boy, what do you miss from home that you can't get here?
I think everybody maybe who's been to Pittsburgh is thinking Permane sandwiches, which are great. Oh, yeah. But there's a little Polish deli right down in the Strip District, and boy, they have some of the best haluski, some of the best pierogies. Unbelievable. I've been to Poland several times for work and school and things, and tell you what, that's some cuisine that you just can't really get other than a Polish immigrant like Pittsburgh. So I miss that.
Yeah, I went to school out there. My wife's family's from out in Western PA, and I'd never had haluski. They're actually German, but when I went to school out there, they had haluski. I didn't know what that was, and they had all the Polish foods. I'm an Irish kid from Maryland, so I had no clue what any of this stuff was. But in the family, I've gotten to love German food, and there's a great place up in Baltimore. They do the sausages and the meats. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's Binkers. They're absolutely fantastic. That's great German stuff. And we actually, I think a lot of the old guys who grew up in and had businesses in Western PA, they're all dying, and it's a dying breed. So when we go to visit my in-laws, we actually bring food, German food from Baltimore up there. And all the neighbors now, they check in with us and ask us to bring things up.
Yeah, stuff like that. I love stories like that because it just shows, isn't food amazing? And in a lot of ways too, when we sit down as a group at Chow and we talk about strategy, a lot of our mission too comes around that, like, we look out at the world and we see, like, there's a lot of problems, whether it's veteran unemployment, veteran homelessness, or just there are just problems in America that need to be talked about and dealt with that are outside of the veteran community. And we talk about it all the time. We're like, well, what better way to start talking about these things than over a good plate of food? And that's kind of our mission too, is we want to serve good food to kind of, spark conversations about solving problems. We focus directly on veterans and military families, but, there's nothing, we don't believe there's a problem that a good plate of food and a conversation can't.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about the food trucks particularly, is that you could discover foods that are regional or that are specific to certain cultures that you normally wouldn't, because, the restaurants, they can't be as niche sometimes. I mean, sometimes they can, but if I go to food truck rallies, I go to them on occasion, and I'll discover like these foods I didn't know existed that are just great, and like regional stuff. There's a food truck rally over at, or they had one recently in the last couple of years over at the fairgrounds, the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds. And it was just great going from truck to truck with their specific specialties and not knowing they existed. I love that stuff.
Oh yeah. That's the coolest stuff. I saw a truck in DC, about a year ago that was, a Western Chinese cuisine truck from like Zhejiang region. And I lived in China for a while, loved the lamb dishes out there. And when I saw that truck, it was driving, and I followed it for like 2 miles until it parked and ordered, because I was like, I absolutely have, I love niche trucks like that. That's just, it's such a cool cultural thing. And, I couldn't agree more on that. That's a ton of fun to kind of go to those trucks and get some specialties.
Yeah, I guarantee it. If you had a halushki place here, no one here knows what a halushki is. This is in Maryland, and if you had tried one, you're like, ugh, but you tried, you're like, that is incredible. That's all, and that would become your thing. I've discovered so many foods from food trucks. I just think I love restaurants. I love eating the same way you do. I mean, being Irish, my culinary cultural background is kind of a desert, but I've learned to love Italian food and Asian foods, and I love the fact that food trucks are opening that up to people, and also for your purposes, it's giving people a sense of purpose and kind of giving back to the community.
I couldn't agree more with a lot of things you said about the food, and I'm happy that you see us as a way to give back to the community too, because that's truly our mission. And with Chow's cuisine, it's one of those things where I think when people see the blue and white logo with the spoon and star, you won't necessarily know what meal you're getting, because it's going to be a rotating menu. We want to train veterans in all different types of culinary experiences. So we're gonna actually cultivate it in many ways to be really neat and really unique. But when you do see that blue and white logo, you will know, one, that it's being operated by a veteran or a military family with their spouse, and two, that that menu is locally sourced through veteran-owned businesses. And we think that's a pretty special mission too to have. And we're looking forward to, me and my COO, where we got a fellowship where we're going to be traveling abroad for an Eisenhower fellowship, where we'll be visiting a couple countries, and we're going to be bringing back some cuisines from them. So we hope to have some cool stories and some really cool things to bring back to the truck that we could specialize in as well.
So I see on your website you have spots where you can donate and you can volunteer. So tell us a little bit about both those.
Yeah, absolutely. When you log on to letschow.org, there's a take action tab, and also a donate button, and you click on either one of those, and you can donate directly to us through that website. We are a 501c3. We are tax deductible. So, every dollar makes a difference for us, whether it's, our initiatives for cooking for the homeless, or just getting us closer to that truck that we're going to be buying here in 2021. We appreciate all donations. And right now we have a special going on for the holiday season under the holiday giving tab. But if you donate $50 to $100, you'll get a private link to a pasta making video that we made. And then if you donate $200, we're going to ship you olive oil and semolina flour along with that video link. So right now you can get a little bit back for donating, but also we're sustained by volunteers. We love volunteers. We direct veterans to our services all the time. and that's something that you can also fill out our information forms, and we'll be in touch with you right away, and that'll be great. So we need help in a lot of areas, whether it's assembling meals, finding connections with other, homeless shelters or foster care facilities to donate meals, or if you're somebody who is experienced in the industry and you want to help veterans too, we need mentors and we need people to talk to and build contacts. So please, anything helps, whether it's your time or monetarily. But, we understand that a lot of people, it's tough to give monetarily right now, but we do ask, if you are listening to this, that you share Chow with 22 of your contacts. And that number actually symbolizes the every day 22 veterans die by suicide. So we ask that you honor that number by sharing us with 22 of your contacts.
That's awesome. And also, if you're going to be shopping at Pampered Chef, they use the link on your website, and if you're going to buy anyway, you just click on the link, it takes you to the website, but you guys get 15% of the purchase.
Yeah, that's another really cool partnership we came up with here, and Pampered Chef's an awesome company for us. And if you're buying cookware and you want to buy it from an online store, Pampered Chef is great. And we, through our link, we get 15% back. And we also, every month, we feature a veteran who is starting a small culinary business of their own. So you can log on, look at that cookware tab and scroll down, and you can log on and buy that veteran cookware he or she needs, almost like a wedding registry. And that's so they're so thankful for that. And next month we're going to have a veteran baker in the Maryland area who needs a KitchenAid mixer. Right now we have a veteran in the New York City area who's starting a very delicious sauce business. We've been using his sauces, and he has some incredible hot sauces. So just thank you, for considering that. But if you are shopping for family and loved ones and you're looking for cookware, Pampered Chef and our link, that is the way to go. So thanks for pointing that out, Tim.
To learn more about Let's Chow, go to letschow.org. You got a great website there. You got a lot of videos. You got all the information that you need. You also have a Facebook page. I think you have LinkedIn as well. So follow them. And like Jordan said, is that share this with 22 people to honor the 22 veterans who take their own lives every day. And that's a small way that you can give back and honor their memory. Jordan, you guys are doing an incredible thing. I sincerely wish you the best. And I hope this blows up. I really do.
Thank you so much. And we've got such great support from people like you and Gene, but then every single donor, we always thank them. And, we write them a handwritten card every single time. So we appreciate every dollar, because we know, it's tough times, but we're hoping to pull through all this together and make 2021 a great year. And we look forward to the day when we can see some of these listeners on the road looking for our big blue and white truck serving some great food. So we look forward to that. So just stand by for that, because we're excited about that coming down the road.
Well, I look forward to it too. Jordan, hey, thanks for coming on, and have a great holiday season. Okay.
Thanks so much. You too. And have a great holiday. And thanks again. And, God bless.
All right. Thanks, Jordan.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.